Yeah, so I have been following your work on LinkedIn for quite a while, and I've seen that you have been sharing a lot about OpenBIM, and yeah, that's why I think it would be really cool to talk with you.
Thank you.
Can you give us like a very short intro, just like an elevator pitch of what we're doing?
Sure. So my name is Petru Conduraru. I'm a civil engineer as background, but I worked very little as one. Since I fell in love with BIM, I discovered I moved into this. So what I'm doing right now, I'm an OpenBIM consultant and trainer. I run some trainings on OpenBIM, helping people to succeed with OpenBIM on projects and organization wide. And I'm also helping some projects. So that's mainly what I do. And I do everything under my brand, which is called BIM Voice.
That's cool. And yeah, so I'm kind of curious because I have been working as an architect and I've always worked with closed beam. So what kind of company actually work with open beam more?
What kind of?
What kind of company? Like, what is your audience? What is
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So I worked for over 12 years in Norway. In Norway, OpenBIM has become very popular. They started to try to implement and adopt it back in 2000s. I think it was in 2008 when the first OpenBIM mandate has been published by a public client. So OpenBIM has had a lot of time to grow. It has been a bumpy ride, but at the same time, in the last project I worked on, the last 3 years, for one of the public clients, it was quite a large infrastructure project, 1 billion euros project, and I worked as a BIM coordinator. And we built mostly this project using IFC models, using OpenBIM. Without OpenBIM, would have been a big problem. And the clients wants something that can make the projects as possible, as feasible as possible, as effective as possible, right?
Hmm.
It's a bit difficult to do that. You encounter a lot of challenges when you meet people who or project participants who don't have experience with OpenBIM and they want to stick to a specific tool. So what do you do if you have like 5 or 10 stakeholders who each of them are coming with a different tool? It's very difficult to find a common ground, right? So here is where OpenBIM shines, and here is where IFC as the main standard,
Hmm.
it's extremely important, and that's why I see almost all the public clients in Norway shifting from um, traditional ways of working and adopting OpenBIM. But it's
Hmm.
not only that; it would be misleading to say only OpenBIM. It's more than that. It's model-based construction. So they try to remove use of drawings on projects because they see it's a direction which doesn't yield much and it's completely isolated compared to everything else. When you look at IFC models and you start building them as purely databases of information, then you can do so much more with that data, especially in handover and facility management later, right?
Hmm.
So, but not only then, in my role, I worked as a BIM coordinator for a general contractor, so I had to help our teams of different stakeholders to understand the quality of the information in our models, to buy materials, to order things, and not the last workers on site to use these models to be able to build the project. And especially comes to mind the reinforcing work, which is like in infrastructure projects, you have a lot like concrete infrastructure, you have a lot of structures that are reinforced concrete, right? And on this, like you deal with a lot of people and it's not easy to go from a way of working which was before to this one, but at the same time it's possible and it worked better than I expected and the friction was less after going over the initial phase when everyone was shocked that I was used to work with drawings, what do you want me to do? And I gave them the bad news that we don't have drawings. So you if you want to do your job, we have to talk. I can help you, and I'll show you how we can get that information that you're looking for in a different way, because that's what's happening when you do this shift. Sorry for the long reply to your question, but it's not so easy to cram this into a very short one.
Yeah, yeah, but I think it's very great like background. is like very rich kind of context. And I wonder, like, so you think like your audience is mostly in like Norway and those public projects, and do you see like what is the difficulties or like for normal projects to adopt this open beam approach? Is it more like a mentality problem, or is actually the knowledge wise?
Yeah. So my audience and my mission through Beam Voice, everything I do, it's actually uh, to take away the good things that I learned in Norway, the practical ones. I'm working both with Norwegian clients and with international clients because OpenBIM in Europe is becoming a mandate. European Union wants to implement OpenBIM as a strategy for especially for infrastructure projects in the next years. So OpenBIM is not a nice thing to do or to have. Right now, it becomes a crucial way of working at the European level, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are more countries which are embracing OpenBIM, like Singapore and Japan to some degree, and so on, right? So um, I my goal is not Norway. It's just that I gathered the experience in Norway, and I have a big network there, of course, and I keep working with them. But my goal is actually to take what is good and happening in Norway and promote everything else outside the world and help others. That's what I do through my training. In my training, I have only one member from Norway. The rest of them are from Europe and other places. So
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly the goal here to to help people avoid to try to reinvent the wheel. Norway has invested so much, so many years, so many resources in these things that can be already learned and implemented in projects. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to reinvent the wheel. And yeah, I really get turned on when I see pilot projects, people trying to implement OpenBIM in some project, and they just test some small stuff. When you have a real example where people are delivering projects, like all the projects in with public clients with infrastructure, like it's OpenBIM required now. So like why do you do that? Like learn from what they do, learn what it try it and see if you don't like it, see how you can adjust it to what you need. But you don't have to do the same mistakes, you don't have to waste again a lot of resources. So that's kind of what I do. And the audience, I would say, it's everyone who works on a project, because at some point, OpenBIM, it will become a mandate, and
Mm-hmm.
especially in large projects, right, where you have hundreds of stakeholders. So the earlier you get into the game, the better it is, the more skills you gain, and the bigger advantage. So I'm helping, like I said, maybe architects who want to learn how to export better IC models. I'm helping BIM coordinators who want to learn better how to require better information or how to check it. The same with clients,
Mm-hmm.
to help this to streamline and to enforce this, because even in Norway there are still so many things that can be improved and should be improved, and I'm working with that as well, right? So when I think audience, everyone involved in AAC who is going to be touched at some point by OpenBIM, they should consider this. And you mentioned about how should projects look into this and how they should they implement. It's more like it comes from organizations, right? So it's very difficult to start somewhere where no one has any clue about it. But most of the time, what I've seen is coming from clients. It's very difficult for every other stakeholder, for the general contractor or designer, to want to become more expensive, to add more extra friction on their projects, just because they want to do a cooler thing. Meanwhile, the client, because the client has the most to gain from this, because they
Mm-hmm.
get a better information that they can reuse over time, over many years in the future, they have the best incentive here to start that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you have the client who is requesting this, then everyone else learns how to implement this, right? But it's of course is not so easy, so straightforward. Although in theory, in practice, actually it is, if you have motivated people and that are not willing to just say no to everything. That's kind of what I see. I also see, and I'm aware, I know situations where different companies, even if they are in countries like Romania or Switzerland or different countries where there is no BIM mandate or no open BIM mandate, they see that using OpenBIM makes them more effective, makes them deliver quicker projects and better quality projects. So I see also this, but most of the time it's easier to get a critical mass of users when the strategy comes from a client who is showing the way, right? But I've seen also this, like I said, general contractors using OpenBIM because they see how much quicker they can do their projects and how much better data they get that they can use, and they also can avoid a lot redoing the design, for example. Like not many years ago, I'm for sure, um, I'm sure there is still happening today, cases where the general contractors don't care about the design. They see it, but they have to design anyway. They have a design team, internal design team, right? So now I didn't experience this at all for the last years in the project I worked in, and I think that's great. That's how it's supposed to be, right? We have to reuse all these things, not redo and create unnecessary, friction and waste time. It's a waste in the end, right? So it's a mindset problem, but we have to understand that it's a challenge. It's a new way of working, but I think also it's extremely important to understand. I think it's going to be a big problem uh, for for OpenBIM or BIM in general to take off as long as people are too anchored into drawings. People like for BIM to really matter, and to really be used to its full potential, including digital twins, you have to think that you have to realize that the drawings are something bad, that some kind of data that is not so usable, and we are wasting so much time creating these drawings.
Yeah.
Instead of that, we are putting that effort to enrich the information in our models. Then we can do so much more because each model becomes a database that you can use, and you can connect with different other databases for different purposes, for facility management, for construction, for design. I don't know, right? So I think this is the most important thing that people have to realize. And I'm going to work a lot on this. In the future, you are going to see a lot of content and training based on this because I really want to make people understand how important is this. As long as we are focusing on something and we are allocating and wasting so many resources on something that it's so difficult to be reused and so on, is going to be very difficult. If you have the right mindset, if the client tells you that, hey, I don't need drawings anymore, like make it model based and use it when you design, use it when you build, and I'm going to use it when in the operation phase, right?
Hmm.
So when that happens, like it's going to be some friction in the beginning, but people get used to that. Like my company, the last company I worked in, AF Gruppen, everyone, like we were over 100 people working on this project, right? So all these people, when they are going to go to the next project working on model based, they are going to have some skills, tremendous skills, right? They don't have to reinvent the wheel. They don't have to learn again. They will just go on, and that's when the big gain is happening, right? Because now AF knows that they have a team of people knowing how to build model based, and when they bid on the next project, maybe they can cut the price, or I don't know, maybe they can provide more value. I don't know. They can also win more projects like that. Again, sorry for the long answer. I get really um, passionate about these things, and it's not. Unfortunately, it's a complex topic, right? And you have to provide some context for people to be able to understand something. Otherwise, it will just be some text that doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah, that's really cool. I like a lot of like inspirations in this. I think you're like really touching the point that people are working so much in drawings, but that's something actually like dragging them slow is not something that should happen.
Yeah, it's something that I think we can evolve from. Like
Mhm.
there are still people who see value, and there again, it's very important to mention that I say model-based drawings, and I did model-based projects and not drawingless projects, which is something that some people are calling it, because there are still some drawings that might be relevant and that makes more sense to make, instead of making wasting a lot of time to add some kind of information in a model, which doesn't make sense. Maybe you have a sketch or something that can highlight something for an entire project. You don't want to do that repeating stuff maybe in the model. Maybe not at this point. Maybe in the future this will become much easier, and then we can do that. I'm sure we can have everything in a model. But until then, like that's why I'm trying to be cautious and not say drawingless projects. We still need drawings like sketches, like schematics for other disciplines, right? But there are many disciplines that don't need, and they can live without this. Like I told you, this the project I worked on is not special. There are more projects, many projects delivered as we speak right now, and there have been delivered in the past, model based. And if that's possible in Norway, it should be possible in Europe, in Asia, in everywhere in the world, right? So that's my thing. And but this is important to understand. People invested so much time in the university and then in the work, and they got comfortable with the workflow. Hey, we have to deliver drawings, like the clients as well. Like everyone has to upskill. The clients have to learn how they can use this new kind of information, right? The constructors as well on site, the designers as well. And this doesn't mean that you just do this overnight. No, you are going to need to invest in upskilling your staffs, and you are going to need to invest in some platforms that are going to enable you to execute this kind of workflows, because it's not that you just get the model and everyone just does everything what they want, right? You have to have a project infrastructure to teach everyone how to use it and so on. And of course, it involves patience, especially in the beginning, and investment of time and money.
Cool. And can you like I see like you have been working on a project called Bonsai, and can you like or is it OpenBIM? So I wonder like what is the how did you start working on this project, and how is this project related to your approach, and how is it compared to, for example, close beam like a Revit, like something like that?
Hmm. Okay, so bonsai beam or
Mm-hmm.
bonsai, but it's important to say it's not just a tree, it's bonsai beam. It's a free open source IFC native authoring tool, meaning that it emulates the IFC schema. It means that it speaks IFC, meaning that when you open or you create a model, an IFC model, you don't have to save, you don't have to export to anything else. You are just saving because that's exactly the only language that it understands, and it's extremely powerful. The reason I started to use Bonsai is not because it's free. Unfortunately, most of IFC tools out there are very limited. Either limit you with what they show you, the way they show you, or what you can do with your model. So when I say IFC native, is that it means that you can open a model and you can modify it and you can save it. And it's a big difference from this compared to other tools who are, you can modify something and then you have to export everything again. Um, because yeah, many things can happen during that process. But the reason I started to use Bonsai is this, because it was extremely powerful. It was the best tool around for IFC. And even the more basic one, I started because I was very confused and I was very overwhelmed by the IFC schema. IFC schema, it's a complex thing. And Bonsai, because it speaks only IFC, the way that it presents information, it's only about IFC schema. If you use any other tool like Solibri, Bincolab Zoom, Trimble Connect, whatever, Dalos, doesn't matter, when you import or open an IFC model, they don't show you the IFC model as it is. They are converting it into their own format, and they are presenting you that information the way that they are thinking. They have, each of them have a different way of presenting you the information. And for me, this was extremely confusing because I didn't know what it comes and where it comes from and what it is, if it's from IFC or if it's from Solibri. And then this is extremely important when you try to explain something to somebody, and also how they understand where they think that information should be in. When you
Mm-hmm.
use Bonsai, you see exactly the information where it's supposed to be, and you understand, you know exactly what kind of instruction you can give, or you know exactly what you have to fix. So this is the most important thing, right? And
Yeah.
of course, like it, there is zero friction. Everyone can use it. I love this, and that's why I support the project. That's why I donate money. That's why I make a lot of tutorials and trainings on this. And yeah, it's an amazing project that it's still alpha, but it's still, I use it on a 1 billion euros project, and many people are using it on very huge projects. So it's still ready for production. So yeah, that's kind of what Bonsai is. It's an amazing tool, and it's not the only tool. I have to mention that lately we start to get some more tools, and that's amazing because we really lack in AAC this openness, this the options, right? Everything is extremely expensive for everyone, right? So I
Mm.
understand for those who want effective things, effective process, yes, we should have this kind of tools. We have to have businesses that are working to be able to improve products and so on. But it's always very important to have some alternatives, right? To have some things that are driven by the community and so on. So we have this, we have that open company. Now we have Louis Trumpler, who makes many tools like IFC Flow, which I had a live stream yesterday, which is an extremely interesting thing. And he has more tools, all open source and for free. So this opens so many opportunities right now for people who want to do things, but also for clients who want to implement OpenBIM, because sometimes they don't know where to start. They think, oh, I have to implement OpenBIM. If implementing Revit costs me so much, maybe this is even more expensive. But that's not true. It can be free. It can be free if you have the right people who have the right mindset and willing to put in the effort and to understand what they and how they can use this, right?
Hmm.
So that's kind of what Bonsai is. Bonsai is the Robin Hood tool for everyone who wants to work with IFC. And again, like, is not best for everything or for everyone, but it can help and supplement their capabilities a lot to everyone. Doesn't matter what you do. If you work with IFC, Bonsai Beam can help you a lot, at least to understand where your information is in your model, or maybe to fix something if you cannot fix it from the tool that you try to export it from, or maybe to check your models to validate them. So there are so many things you can do with it.
That's cool. And I just want to ask, like, do you see it's possible for a project like not using any like a closed source tool, just using the open source tool from start to finish? Is it
Oh yeah,
possible?
oh yeah. I have like in our training, like I said, we have we have two instructors who are doing already this.
Okay.
We have Lloyd Basio, IFC architect, known as well. He has a YouTube channel. So he ditched Revit 5 years ago. So right now he's doing all his architectural job just using Bonsai
Oh.
and other free tools. So he's one. The other one is Stefano Veruggi. Stefano is still using Autodesk, but only AutoCAD, I guess. But he's using also Bonsai to get his 2D models or projects, sorry, not, yeah, 2D projects, and convert them into IFC models and do costing and scheduling. So it's quite crazy. So these people are using fully this. We also have a student who is using Bonsai for modeling ventilated facades to produce models and drawings with Bonsai. So there are more people exploring it. So yeah, it's fully possible. You can do that. And if you have people who need other kind of output, then you can use Bonsai and Blender to generate DXF or DWG files for them. So it's working. Like in case of Lloyd, it's only him who is using the IFC, but he's also delivering IFC and drawings, DWGs or DXFs for the other stakeholders to be able to coordinate the project, right?
Hmm.
So yes, it's possible. Now depends, like, can that work on a large project, on a large company? I'm not sure. I don't have that example so far, but I know many people who are using Bonsai for this. And Now we talk about authoring. If you think about me, I completely replace Solibri with Bonsai as a BIM coordinator, and there are many BIM coordinators. So if you just have to check the models, the IFC models, then Bonsai, it's an amazing tool, and you avoid paying a quite expensive license as well. And then you remove a complete barrier, right? If you are a client and you start requesting OpenBIM, you don't have to learn how to model in IFC with Bonsai. You just have to validate your models. And you just can develop some IDS, information delivery specifications, that you can check your requirements with Bonsai, and that's free completely.
Hmm. Cool. And do you see like AI and automation can kind of lower the bar for adopting this open beam process? And how should that be?
Yeah, yeah. I think AI is going to have a big impact. Um, I see some initiatives about this. I see some effect on this. I think many people have gotten a lot of help already with AI to understand the IFC schema. By the way, next week, actually, I'm doing a live stream about Bonsai MCP,
Hmm.
which is a server, cloud server for Bonsai built by somebody. So we're going to have a look at it and see how it works. Yesterday, I told you I had this live stream about IFC Flow, and today I had the creator Louis Trumpler send me some screenshots with adding an AI node to his tool. So it means that you like this IFC flow very briefly. What it does is like Grasshopper or Dynamo for IFC, and he adds an AI node which can be used for different things to audit your model, to make some modifications and stuff like that. So I cannot say that I used in production already AI like completely implemented, but I see already many ways that it has a big improvement. And also, like, I think it's not in the open, but everyone building all these tools are definitely using AI, and they make it much quicker, right? So I think we are going to see much more of this in the near future, and is going to lower the barrier, of course. I think and that's going to happen also when IFC5 comes around, because it's going to be like a JSON, and it's going to be much easier to integrate it with other tools and workflows and so on. So yeah, but at the same time, I still think it's important to understand the core concepts, the basics, the fundamentals, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult for you to make the difference what's true or not, right? You cannot blindly trust AI. If you have, it's still worthwhile to invest some time and understand the core concepts. Otherwise, how do you know what's correct and what's not, right? Because you can get quite a lot of hallucinations. So it's important to have that. But again, like I strongly see already the impact, and I think is going to happen in production pretty soon as well, because yeah, many things are happening, and these things are going to become to make it much easier for everyone to get starting with IFC, with OpenBIM in general.
Yeah, and then there are, I heard like there are some architects saying that IFC format is not really suitable for like architecture drawings. I don't know, like, oh, how do you see that?
Again, architectural drawings, like I told you, we in Norway there are already many like companies building projects also using architectural models. I didn't have many on infrastructure, but I like my company, my previous company, AF Group, they built other projects. They built hospitals based on models without drawings. Those have architectural models. Um, that's just an excuse. That just a limitation. I'm not trying to insult anyone. It's a limitation because people didn't explore, and they just explain in a way something they either don't understand, either they took from somebody else, an explanation that they heard from somebody else, like it used before, like IFC is like a PDF, which is completely bullshit, right? Because it's a full database. So, and again, you mentioned drawings. Yeah, they should forget about drawings. That's the problem. They are thinking, they are thinking backwards. They are thinking bad data. Yeah, not proper information. Yeah. So if you think about the Revit model that you as an architect you are producing, you definitely have to understand also how you deliver that to a client who doesn't have ArchiCAD or Revit or the tool that you are using, because that's the world we live in. You are going to deal with somebody who doesn't have your tool. An MEP engineer will never have ArchiCAD or maybe even Revit, right? They have a specific tool. Like structural engineer, the same. So like it doesn't make any sense. Like you cannot coordinate a project if you uh, you use models on your project without that. So it doesn't hold ground at all what they say. But again, like everything becomes much easier when this comes from the client.
Okay.
And the larger the client, the public the client, the more resources, the more experience they have. So when you, yeah, like smaller projects are going to struggle for a while until it gets. I think until the barrier gets so low that it's just a no-brainer. But people have to start somewhere. They have to understand that there are better ways of working and other ways of working, especially.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are in a loop, like counter time, right? Like we want to do as quick as possible. We don't want to waste time and so on. But yeah, I think investing in self-educating and self-learning is extremely important. Look for what other ways of working are there, and again, like this comes from the larger projects. Like there is no doubt about it, infrastructure is going to be full open beam pretty soon. There are already many countries, even very traditional ones, which are already enforcing it. So like when I say pretty soon, it's still going to take few good years, because think about that, this project usually takes between 5 and 10 years to plan and to build, right? So I'm talking about long time spans, but at the same time, I think these are the resources coming from. For me now, going to to a project that doesn't use models, I would not be able to do my job. Like like, because everything is completely different. I will not dare. I would not even attempt,
Yeah.
because it's so backwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you are exposed to this, then it's very difficult to go back. And I think that's going to happen more and more and more, and it's going to drip down also to uh, smaller projects and smaller companies. People would just learn, like exactly how happened with Revit. But I think AI is going to play a huge role in this, because it will help improve the existing tools and create even more tools that are going to help in different scenarios. So we are living very, very exciting times for OpenBIM, for sure.
Cool. Nice. And what's the next step, and how can we follow your work?
Hmm. I told you BIMvoice. Everyone interested in my work can just go to BIMvoice. BIMvoice.com is my website.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very active on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'm getting closer to, yeah, there are a lot of people following me, and I don't want to brag with that. I just say that there are a lot of people interested in OpenBIM, and more growing by day. I also have a YouTube channel
Mm-hmm.
where I make a lot of content on both this platform. I make a lot of content about OpenBIM, IFC, Bonsai tools, free tools, and all. Something very important. My training, it's always focusing on free tools that don't add extra stress or extra barriers to specific workflows, to these workflows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So beamvoice.com, on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to have a chat. If you want to chat, just send me a message on LinkedIn if you have any questions about these things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you are interested about anything, yeah, just let me know.
That's great. Yeah, it's really awesome. I think it's so helpful, and I learned a lot from this conversation. And I hope that like our audience will also get a lot of like firsthand information. That's really cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was very nice to be able to share these thoughts, and I hope more people will get inspired by OpenBIM and see the potential. And I told you, it doesn't matter your role; everyone can work with OpenBIM.
Mhm.
I told you Lloyd Basio case. There are people who want to cut a Revit license, so that's the use case. They want to just use Bonsai for that, and it's possible, right? Or if you're a BIM coordinator or something like that. So everyone can use it to some degree, but it starts with understanding what it is, how it works, and why should we use it, and so on.
Mhm. Cool.
Again, thank you for having me. It was
Thank
very
you.
nice.